So our story continues with the brutal, desolate sight of a completely shattered Earth. As surrounding the cracked landscape, the mangled and broken bodies of our heroes would be seen. Beast Gohan, brought to his knees, Orange Piccolo, brutally injured, and the once proud Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego completely crushed, with even the magic of Gotenks wiped away in a single blast by the sadistic monster known as Black Ultra Vegito. But thanks to the brave, bloody sacrifice of Gowasu, who gave up his very life to protect the remaining Saiyans, a new light would pierce through the darkness. As standing in the ruins of the battlefield, born from the Potara earrings, the ultimate warrior would finally arrive, Ultra Vegito. The battle of the ages was finally about to begin. Ultra Vegito versus Black Ultra Vegito. As instantly, both warriors would begin to power up. Their roaring auras so impossibly massive that the entire Earth would begin to violently earthquake beneath them. The shock waves traveling so far across the galaxy, they would pierce straight into the divine realm. As high up on his throne, Grand Zeno would smile wide, letting out, "Wow, whose energy is that? This is going to be a fun fight to watch." The second Zeno would cheer, all while Whis, usually so calm and collected, would look down with genuine sweat dropping from his cheek. But back on Earth, in a single frame, Ultra Vegito would vanish. Moving with a speed that defied reality, he would reappear right at Black Vegito's doorstep, and before the dark fusion could even blink, crack! A brutally heavy punch would be slammed deep into Black's stomach, winding the dark warrior instantly as thick blood would forcefully cough up from his mouth, his face twisted in pure, unadulterated pain. "What's wrong, Black?" Ultra Vegito would smirk, looking down at his victim. "Where is all that divine fusion power you were bragging about?" But refusing to be mocked, Black Vegito's eyes would flare with a murderous red anger, as just a microsecond later, he would retaliate, launching a devastating right hook that would crack right across Ultra Vegito's jaw, hitting him so hard that blood would instantly drip from Ultra Vegito's mouth. "How does that feel?" Black Vegito would maniacally laugh. "Your pathetic mortal fusion is absolute garbage, clown." As reaching out his hand, a blinding, glowing purple energy axe would violently spark into existence. But wiping the blood from his chin, Ultra Vegito would just shake his head in disappointment. "You always pull out that axe. You're just a cheap copy." As raising his own hand, a long, piercing azure blue-white spirit sword would erupt from his palm. "I'm going to chop your head off with this, heathen." Black Vegito would roar, as immediately the two titans would charge, the glowing azure sword and the deadly purple axe clashing in the dead center of the battlefield, sending shockwaves and sparks of pure, divine energy flying in every single direction. But as this legendary clash would commence, meanwhile, light years away on Lord Beerus's planet, another incredible battle would be taking place, as Broly, desperate to master his new powers to save his friends on Earth, would be facing down the god of destruction himself. The deal? Defeat Beerus, and he could go. Broly would roar, powering up fiercely into his controlled legendary Super Saiyan form, leaving Beerus to just smile, clearly impressed as he would note, "Not bad. Let's see why Whis praises your anger so much." "I need to finish this fast," Broly would shout, firing off a massive, city-destroying energy blast right at the god. But Beerus wouldn't even flinch, as calmly surrounding himself in his purple Hakai aura, the very moment Broly's blast would make contact, it would just dissolve, erased into absolute nothingness. But Broly wouldn't stop there. Flying right above Beerus, the massive Saiyan would aim a crushing, meteor-like punch straight for the god's head, only for Beerus to expertly dodge backward, and whip a brutal kick right into Broly's face, sending blood flying from the Saiyan's mouth. But unbelievably, Broly would barely even step back, as suddenly with blinding speed, Broly would reach out and violently grab Beerus's fist. What? Beerus would gasp, genuinely shocked, as roaring with pure primal rage, Broly would begin to mercilessly slam the God of Destruction directly into the ground, swinging him back and forth like a literal ragdoll in a horrific display of physical strength. But the destroyer was far from finished. Channeling his godly energy straight into his tail, Beerus would whip it tightly around Broly's massive arm, completely halting his momentum. As wiping a drop of purple blood from his own mouth, Beerus would just smirk, sweet, before effortlessly spinning Broly around by his own arm and launching him across the alien landscape, sending the behemoth crashing so hard into a giant mountain that the entire structure would crumble into dust upon impact. What amazing power, Beerus would admit, floating calmly in the air. But from the rubble, a terrifying scream would erupt, Broly's energy violently skyrocketing. He was losing control, his uncontrollable rage slowly taking over, threatening to turn him back into a mindless, rampaging monster, leaving Whis to watch on nervously. But just as Broly's mouth would open, a giant green cannon blast charging deep within his throat, a tiny figure would run right in front of him. Shilai. Is she crazy? Beerus would yell. I have to put him down. No, Broly, stop. Shilai would cry out, staring death right in the face. What is the point of all your training if you lose control now? Go away. Broly would roar, his energy wild, chaotic, and completely lethal. I won't, Shilai would shout back, refusing to step down as she'd stare right into his blank, white eyes. I believe in you. You can control this anger. If you do, no one can stop you. I love you, Broly. And right then, Broly would freeze, the wild, chaotic aura, violently thrashing around him, would suddenly begin to condense, his massive muscles shifting, his hair growing longer, flowing heavily down his back, as his eyes, once totally white and devoid of reason, would finally regain their pupils, before a blinding flash of golden light would completely swallow the entire planet. When the light would finally fade, standing there in a brand new, unthinkable form, would be Broly, having unlocked Controlled Super Saiyan 3, leaving both Beerus and Shilai completely speechless, the energy so astronomically dense that even the two Vegitos back on Earth would be forced to stop their clash and look up at the sky. But before Beerus could even react, Broly would vanish, reappearing instantaneously right in front of the God of Destruction, and bearing a titanic punch square into his stomach. Beerus's eyes going wide with excruciating pain as he'd be sent flying. But before he could even recover, Broly would teleport right above him, smashing him in the face, and sending him shooting up into the sky. Double cannon attack. Broly would roar, cupping his hands together and firing a massive blinding wave of green energy right at the god, resulting in a gigantic explosion that would rock the very foundation of the planet. But back on Earth, Ultra Vegito would be sweating, doing the brutal math in his head. I only have 30 minutes before this fusion wears off. I have to finish him now. What's wrong? Black Vegito would tease, his sharp eyes catching the panic. Are you worried about your little 30-minute time limit? I don't have a limit, mortal. As raising his hands high into the sky, the Dark Warrior would grin. But I'm tired of playing games too. Let's end this. Ultra Vegito's eyes would widen in sheer terror. Are you crazy? You'll destroy the whole Earth. That's the plan. Black Vegito would laugh manically, Killing you and destroying the planet at the same time will save me a lot of trouble." As from the crushed ground below, a battered Gohan would scream out, "Dad, do something," leaving Ultra Vegito with absolutely no choice, pulling his hands back and gathering every single ounce of godly energy he had left. Ha! As simultaneously, both warriors would unleash their ultimate attacks, the final Kamehameha, two gigantic blinding beams of energy crashing violently into each other in the dead center of the sky, the very atmosphere cracking, sizzling, and tearing apart around them. "I will destroy you," Black Vegito would scream, pumping even more demonic power into his attack, his dark purple energy slowly but surely beginning to push Ultra Vegito's beam back. "I can't lose. The Earth will be destroyed," Ultra Vegito would yell, his muscles tearing as he forced his body past its absolute limits. Kaioken times 20. As suddenly, a fiery, violent red aura would explode all around Ultra Vegito, his final Kamehameha instantly doubling in size, completely overwhelming and tearing right through Black Vegito's attack, swallowing the dark fusion completely in a blinding flash of light. Boom! A massive, world-shaking explosion would light up the heavens. As floating there, breathing heavily, Ultra Vegito would look down at a stunned Gohan, flashing him a tired but victorious thumbs up. "It's over," Ultra Vegito would smile. But suddenly, a chilling, demonic whisper would echo right behind his ear. Kaioken times 20. Ultra Vegito would freeze. But before he could even attempt to turn around, Black Vegito would already be there, smashing a brutal light-speed combo of punches directly into Ultra Vegito's back and neck. The sickening sound of his bones cracking echoing out as the fused warrior would violently cough up blood. "Did you really think I came here to lose?" Black Vegito would whisper evilly, completely coated in his own red Kaioken aura. "I've learned all your tricks, and I do them better," before viciously kicking Ultra Vegito high into the sky, and with his glowing purple energy axe in hand, Black would fire dozens of piercing purple laser blasts, slicing cleanly through Ultra Vegito's body in a horrific display of torture, resulting in a massive purple explosion high up in the clouds, leaving a completely broken Ultra Vegito to fall from the sky, crashing hard into the dirt like a meteorite. As slowly floating down, gripping his axe tightly, Black Vegito would watch, as on the ground, Ultra Vegito would desperately try to summon his blue-white spirit sword one last time, but the azure light would just flicker and die. He was totally, completely out of energy. Throwing his head back, Black Vegito would just laugh. "Ha ha ha, what a joke. Looks like you used up all your power on that last attack, weakling." When suddenly, Ultra Vegito's body would begin to violently glow, and with a sudden flash of light, he would split apart. The fusion was over, leaving a completely exhausted Goku and Vegeta to hit the ground, completely drained. "You idiot Kakarot," Vegeta would yell, coughing up blood. "Why did you use the Kaioken? You drained our time limit." "I had to," Goku would argue back, clutching his bruised ribs in agony. "If I didn't, the Earth would have been blown to pieces." "Stop fighting like children," Black Vegito would coldly interrupt, slowly walking toward the downed Saiyans. "You should be deciding which one of you wants to die first." As desperately, Goku and Vegeta would try to power up. Goku searching for his Ultra Instinct, and Vegeta trying to spark his Ultra Ego. But nothing would happen. Their bodies were just too broken. As for the first time in a long time, pure, unadulterated fear and tension could be seen on both of their faces. They were completely out of option. As standing over them, Black Vegito would raise his purple axe high into the air for the final lethal strike. But right at that exact moment, an incredibly bright light would suddenly explode across the entire battlefield. A light so piercing and blinding that Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, and even the sadistic Black Vegito would be forced to cover their eyes. Someone new had just arrived on the battlefield. But who could it be? Find out in the next exciting episode of this manga. That was it for today's video, guys, and if you made it this far, leave me a hashtag BrolySSJ3 in the comments down below and let me know just who you think this mystery savior is.